And like, so for us, it's like, or for me, it's like, what is your goal? To create content that teaches people how to create a brand with multiple income streams from their skill. And that's really important to me because I see a lot of people like, oh, 6 ways to make money online. But it's like things that people have no skill set on. So then it's a barrier because then they have to build up that skill even before they can get into it. So mine is doubling down into what you're already good at. Like, I already know you're great at researching, you love virtual events. Like, all my things would be talking about how can you get to your goal using that skill.
I like that. I'm wondering how good I am at communicating that for myself, for my brand, on my social channels. I know you got a challenge going on right now, and it asks similar questions, and I'm wondering, did I answer that to the best of my abilities, or did I just put something out? Because I don't want to just put something out, but at the same time, I don't want to overthink it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, the great thing is you put it out, you can always refine it. Like, I have my, I'd have to find it. I have a journal of all my descriptions for the last 5 years, how I describe my business. And I put a date to see how it's changed. To
Good
see if I
idea.
use different words or anything like that. I had to go find it. I might have a version. Hold on one second. I might have a version in one of these.
Okay. It's really cool because I've struggled with having my I help statement, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make it short so it would fit along with the link. And for a long time, I had a hard time describing what automation is, or
Yep.
what, let's see. Yeah, it says I help event producers with automation. And a lot of people's like, that's over my head. I have no idea what that is. But now I'm thinking, hopefully, event producers know what automation is, and I could just skip over a lot of people. But I made that short.
You know, I like that. And keep in mind too, event producers, I like that. The one thing that worked with us, or what I've seen, is how does your audience identify themselves as too? The people that are best for your audience, do they call themselves event producers?
Uh,
That's important because you might miss out on a huge amount of people just because you're naming them and they're like, that's not how I describe myself.
uh,
So we did a poll too, because we're like, oh, I think people are creators, makers, all those things. What we found is our audience identifies themselves the most with as being an entrepreneur. And so either I'm using the word um, entrepreneur, or I'm using multiple income streams, because then that's more, I'm not using startup language versus someone that's just trying to do a side hustle or a small business. So yeah, I would just say event producers. How many identify as themselves as event producer, and then also think about that box. How many in the world identify themselves as event producers? Is that a big enough audience to crush it in? It could be. It could be. It's just something to think about.
Understood. So I was trying to niche down, but now listening to you, it's like I niched down for them, and they probably didn't like that or appreciate that. I started out with what was it, event planners, and they had no clue what I was talking about at all. Like,
Same.
my English was horrible talking to event planners.
Yeah, yeah. Because think about, are they tech savvy? What kind of events do they do? All of those things. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, exactly right. It does. It does take time. I want to share this with you. Okay, so, and this actually helped the. I'm going to go through a couple different versions. So in 2016, I was trying to, this is what I said. In 2016, it was a career building service that helps athletes monetize their audience in a holistic way. Now, this is when I was focused on fitness athletes only, right? But the problem was, a lot of fitness athletes, that's not the language that they could even identify themselves with. Most athletes didn't really understand monetizing. I'm just doing this as a sport. Like, it was too much. So when I said this statement, I was like, this is really, like, it's clean, it feels good. People didn't couldn't relate. 2017, focus on building relationships and helping athletes reach their goals. I was like, I thought I could do that. Well, then when I switched it to building relationships, it almost seemed like it was more counseling based. And so I was like, I don't really know. I don't really know. So that was for a while, that was something that we used. So then, and hopefully maybe this is helpful, maybe this isn't helpful. But it's still listening over and over again. So there was another version that we did with Brandfactory, and I'll show you right here, which worked to a point. Says, I help entrepreneurs build the business they've always wanted. So very short, very to the point, all of those things. But the problem with this one is build the business they've always wanted. Well, now I'm getting people that are all over the place. It could be ones that are aspirational, ones that have never created a business, what's going on. So this is really the difference of deciding, did I want to have YouTube directly correlate with who, if I wanted clients or not, and what that would be, and what was going on. And what we found out was our YouTube audience was ones that were usually ones that were trying to create a side hustle and trying to make an extra $1,000 a month, ones that were working full-time or at least a majority of the time, and they just wanted to do something where they could have multiple streams of income. And then maybe one day they might create a business that they've always wanted to and go full-time into the business. But that's not really where they were. And then I was just down the rabbit hole of trying to serve them. And now I was trying to catch my own tail to figure out. But then we had to step back. And what do I want to do? What do I really care about? And what could I serve people? And that was building your brand online. And the reason behind that was now we could bring in content, but we could also bring in technology. We could focus on online brands. And that's what we now have. So building your brand online. Building your online brand step by step. And so now we can do more tutorials. We can talk about branding. I can talk about, the documentaries. But if you look at it right here, that's different than my Twitter, because I only want very specific clients where it says building operations to scale your brands. It's still in the brands, but where it says building operations, it's at the point where you're only going to be building operations if you're at the point of scaling your brand and it's not a new company. Ones that building operations, if you're just trying your side hustle, they're not going to do challenges like what we have online right now for the challenge for creating your side hustle or creating your business. They're past that. They're either making tens of thousands or they're getting close to the million mark. And that's why they need to build operations. So that's where I had to differentiate. My YouTube, it's meant for ones building their brand and they're just getting started. They're learning how to make consistent income. They're doing all those things. And so I couldn't do everything on one YouTube channel. I had to pick. So that's how it went over time.
Let me throw something in there. How did you find your target audience? Were you using the YouTube analytics to find it out? Were you doing surveys? Were you just asking everyone you met?
Yeah, that's a great question. A little bit of everything. So YouTube analytics told me, but I would drive them to different sign up forms to see what they would be interested in, and seeing what people liked, what they didn't like, what they would sign up for, if they would go to paid things, would it have to be free? And the biggest thing is, especially with YouTube, you can do it to paid stuff sometimes, like e-commerce. Excuse me. But what I found was, and I'm the same way. If I'm on YouTube, I'm doing it because it's free. I'm fine. When you're on YouTube, you're learning for free. You're so used to learning everything for free. You're not used to a paid barrier. And so what I found was a lot of people, now e-commerce is the only thing. If you like something and there's something that you're like, oh, I'll buy that. That's why Amazon affiliate links work so well, because if you've loved it and you're like, Most people are buying it on Amazon anyway, or Shopify, their own brand, like something that they build, or, Etsy. But services, anything like that, it has to be free. So to answer a question, to figure out what I needed to do was I would use Paperform, shout out to Paperform, and I would just have tons of different landing pages and different sign up forms to see what people are interested in. And what I found was the most simplest sign up forms that were non-professional worked the best for my personal brand. If I would do templates that were supposed to be too like, it just didn't work. So my biggest ones are things that look just like Notion docs, but I just do a form. So either I do a Notion doc and do a form, or I make things that look just like Notion docs. So right here, this looks exactly like a Notion page. It's paper form, and then get access. And this is how I usually see what people are interested in. And a lot of people are interested in high profit side hustles. That's the main thing. And it's just a database of all of my findings or things that I would make money with. And so I do the videos. And then I was like, if people like the videos, there's a link down below. And then like this one, it's almost no like effort. And we got like 100 signups in like a week. And that's from YouTube, and a lot of people like, oh, people won't get off of YouTube and all this stuff. It just depends on what they're interested in. So that was it. That was one. And then once you go over, I think it's 500. Yeah, it's 500 subscribers now. You get the app option to have a community tab. And then I just do a lot of polls on community tabs. And so community, this is what it looks like when you hit the community tab right here. I can post, but you see, I just do a lot of polls, what's going on. And some are like, I need your help. What do you want to see next in the next video? And here I'm testing like the language that people use. What are people interested in? And what language do they gravitate towards? So it's a mixture. Sometimes it's videos and call to actions, and sometimes it's just asking your audience. I will say too, your audience, just because some people are vocal or people vote in your polls, doesn't mean that that's your whole audience. There's a lot of silent people that never do this. So that's where analytics allows you to uncover like what's going on.
I was just about to ask about that.
Yeah.
Did the poll correspond with what your analytics said?
Not necessarily. So that's the thing. Like, deeper, I'll give you ones that make sense and one that like, for example, like one, so in the comment section, some people would be like, I can't, like, the music is too loud, or this would be too much. I'd be like, listen, this is my video. I can put in music what I want. But the thing is, so you've got to understand, if your audience, what you find great for a certain type of music, some people might hate. So you might be like, hey, but professional videos, they have music in the background, I should do it. But think about like, is that necessary? Now, this is what I learned in analytics. This is what I learned that someone said, and then it was backed up by analytics. I heard a couple people, when they would watch my live streams, would double the speed in watching it on replay, which I just had no idea anyone would double the speed. I just don't listen to videos, faster. I just don't find it enjoyable. Well, my analytics backed up that my longer tutorials, people double the speed or speed up the time and watch more. And so it makes sense why those type of tutorials, music doesn't convert, because think about when you're listening in double speed and then you've got a whiny music track that is double the speed. That's really annoying. And especially if they're following along and trying to do the tutorial, all they need to hear is speech. They don't want to hear music. So that's one thing that worked. The other version is a lot of people wanted me to do a certain type of tutorial on a Dalo, and I wasn't going to do it. That's the thing. And so I saw all these accounts. Well, that's the vocal minority. And a lot of people have multiple accounts. If they really want something, they'll just sign into a bunch of their YouTube accounts. So it makes it look like it's a lot of people. But the thing is, they had all the same slang. So I knew it was the same person. So that's why a lot of times you've got to like, hey, it's good insight what people are saying, but also like what what do I want to do? And then one last thing, it will go into it. Like through analytics, I found out, hey, I had a video that was crushing it. It was like my top 5 video. YouTube search loved it. I was getting tons of, views, thousands of views. For me, that's a lot. But you know what? It was a subject I don't really want to talk about anymore. I was talking about how to do basic setup with my Mac. And the thing is, I'm not the Mac guy. So when they ended up watching the video, they would get recommended other videos that had nothing to do with fixing your Mac, which then hurt my bottom line of what my channel was about. And then I was getting penalized because it was too much out of my genre. So analytics allows you to see like, hey, yeah, like this is crushing it, but like, is this the right kind of like signaling I want? Is this something? I have stuff about like Twitch extensions, and it was for the complete beginner, right? But tons of developers like, this isn't about this. I know this already. Guess what? I was like, I don't need y'all. I just unlisted the video. I was like, you think this is like, watch this. They're like, retitle the video. I was like, how about there is no video? Like, this is my channel. I can do what I want. So like that's the thing of understanding what are people interested in? What do you have control over? Do you have to listen to it? And again, like and I'll show you in a second, I can tell you exactly the videos because YouTube tells you who comes back. And I know the exact type of videos that my audience, it's not a large amount compared to how many, people are seeing it, but I know the type of videos that allow people to become repeat offenders. They come back. And that's really important. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes. Would you say that YouTube has the best analytics out of all the social platforms you use?
Yes. I mean, that's a tricky question, but I would say yes, because for the YouTube partner program, you're a partner. You're making a percentage of all the revenue. YouTube wants to give you as many stats as possible so you can create more highly engaged content so they make more money. So they are incentivized to give you great stats to make sure that you're doing better or giving you indications of what you can be doing. So in that case, yes, there are other platforms that might have other things that I'm like, oh, that's cool. But YouTube analytics, because it's under Google, they have the best. Like they have the best that I found. There is one annoying thing that they don't allow yet, but other than that, it's top notch. It's the best in the business.
All right. So if you have more followers on other social platforms, you should ask them to follow you on YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, now some people are like, well, and I'm like, do you need it? Like, so if you're trying to get a job or you're trying to be an authority in the space and be more professional, putting time and energy on LinkedIn makes sense. But perhaps you could find out your style and what converts the duration, what's going on with YouTube more. And then you use those skills to LinkedIn. The same way I see where some people, they were really good as TikTokers. Now that YouTube Shorts is here, they've already perfected the length, how they present themselves in short form. So now they're crushing it on YouTube Shorts because they've already figured out how to be engaging and keeping their retention. And a lot of YouTubers are not used to creating short form content. So they're fumbling how to create both. And I just think that we'll go into, I mean, if you want, you're not going to be great at either one. It's like picking a major in college. You're always going to have one that you're better at. And so I understand why YouTube's doing YouTube Shorts. It's a different form. They've got to keep up with TikTok. But it's number one, they're losing tons of money because they haven't figured out how to monetize it yet because they don't do like the ads through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you're not sharing the ad money. And number two, it's just a different skill set. It's like filming a feature film. When you're creating something that's 10 to 20 minutes long, that's like a feature film compared to TikTok is a commercial. And so understanding how to film a commercial and create like engagement, it's very different. It's like, and Steven Spielberg makes films, right? Jurassic Park, all these things. Like, how many commercials does Steven Spielberg make? That's the difference between TikTok and YouTube. Like, it is a giant chasm of trying to figure it out. So, I mean, that's a small rant, but it's just a totally different thing. Totally different.
Yeah. I was just about to ask, is there anything in particular we should look out for while viewing our YouTube analytics?
Let's do it. So this is the main thing. This is the main thing. And this is the 4 easy steps to find key analytics. Okay. So the first one is you click your YouTube icon. The second one is you go into YouTube Studio. You go on the left side to analytics. You then are going to go on your right side under the real-time data section to see more. And you're going to look at what's going on in your last 48 hours. And once you get there, you're going to write down your top 5 YouTube videos that are over 6 months old, because you're going to see what's still buoying to the top. And you don't do it, what was popular the last 7 days. It's going to already get hits because YouTube is going to promote it more just to see what's happening. After the 90-day cycle, if it's not performing, YouTube's like, bye, whoop, and it just kicks it out. It's not going to promote it because it's like something's not working. Now, life events, Google search might change, but the browse, which is 70% of all traffic on YouTube, it will not promote it after 90 days. It won't promote it really after a week if it's doing terrible. In fact, it will tell you like, hey, indications show like they're not watching longer. Maybe it's your title. Maybe it's your thumbnail. It's trying to get you to experiment so it can make more money.
Will it tell me it's my title or thumbnail?
It can, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, wow. It will tell you. It will give you an indication. We'll go into that in a second. But, and then you write down a plan of new videos. Now, if you look at it, this is all the things that you can do in analytics. There's something to just show right before I go into this. Before looking at analytics, you need to create 100 videos about topics or categories you care about. This is really important. This isn't, and I know some people like and Roberta Blake says, just make 100 bad videos. That's great. I agree with that. But make sure it's something you care about or something you're passionate about. Don't just do it like, Canon Mark II, like that's on my desk. I'll just talk about that. Let me do it. If you're not passionate about camera gear, or you're not if you're not inquisitive, like you've got to either be an expert or like, I'm really interested, and people see you're a novice, but you're passionate, people will still watch. Even if you're not an expert, but if they see you're passionate, they'll still watch. So that's why I'm like 100 videos about something you care about.
A quick question. Should I run a search on like top 100 things about virtual events, virtual summits, because that's what I'm interested in?
You could, but I would say that's a good start if I'm trying to like gather like content, but I would even do like, okay, for example, I saw you the other night when you were doing one stream and you were doing testing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you name it like, I'm doing the new one stream live studio testing? Like, did you say it in the title?
I did not.
Like, but that was what you were doing the whole time.
Yes, it was.
Right. So then you're saying like, I can't get this right, all this stuff. Right. And guess what? People are going to click in because they're like, I'm dealing with the same thing. Right. And how many people are doing that? So your content should be that like, I'm working on this. It's about virtual events. It's about these things. And they're going to figure that out. But like, that's the video that you need to create or retitle it. Something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand now. I mean, I would totally love to use OneStream for virtual events because there's so many things I can do with the overlays. And I know people would pay to have their logos on a video.
Mm-hmm. So you need to figure that out and need to start showing this like, hey, I'm using OneStream. I know that I haven't seen someone do this. I'm about virtual events. I think I can do this. I'm just doing it. Like, if you remember my build with me, it was just me struggling and yelling and just working on things. But that became like the basis of like the best fans, you, Nyota, Lucius. Shout out to Lucius. I don't know what that man's doing now, right now. But you know what I'm saying?
I'm still a fan of Build With Me.
Yeah. And we'll talk, we'll talk about like how your content can inform. Once you have a basis of 100, now you can inform like, now that you have it, what do you need to do next? But you need to do 100. You need to do 100 to have a catalog. And that's different. Podcasts can work and you can repurpose. But what I found is a lot of people are like, I've got to be omnipresent. I have to be omni-channel. I've got to be everywhere. Well, if you still don't understand your why or understand like what you're passionate about, what's working, what's not working, it's like a spray and pray approach. And you're like, yeah, I'm doing what Gary Vee wants. But Gary Vee is very sneaky. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he's being omnipresent because he's getting clients that want to be him, and he's going to get money from them because they want to emulate him. So it's this flywheel effect of why he's doing it versus in the all 99% that aren't going to be his client. It's a great tip, but it gives them a disillusionment of their goal. And so that's why I'm like, you have to figure out the topics and category you're talking about. And do people on YouTube understand that? Because at the base level, even if you're not getting in browse at first, and my channel is not high on browse, by the way, it's a catalog. You've got to figure out, how do people say things when they're searching? Like if you look at it, some of my titles aren't grammatically correct. It's because how people would just type it. And like my wife goes crazy because she's like, this, like, it doesn't even make sense, the phrasing that you use, but that's how people would talk. So like, that's all of those things. So I'll show you in analytics, and we're going to show you like the basics, and I'll go through it. And I'm going to show you like what's possible. But like, if you're not at this point, if you haven't done the 5 questions, don't go on. If you haven't started with your 100 videos, like, don't go on. I don't care if people are like, well, I've done 100 podcasts on my YouTube channel. Okay. Did you optimize the title? Do you look at like, are you just repurposing it without thinking? Or is it 100 videos you would want on YouTube? Something to think about.
Optimize my titles.
You go back and think about, you ask usually someone that like has no idea about the subject, and you ask them like, how would you search for this?
Oh,
because you might be too
okay.
much in the weeds. You might be too much in the weeds. Like YouTube analytics works, but if it's a new YouTube content creator, they're probably not even knowing what YouTube analytics is. They don't even use the word analytics. They'll probably be like, how to be a big YouTuber. Like, is that the YouTuber I want? Is it how to use YouTube? How to use YouTube for your business? That might be the first one. And then, hey, you're a business owner. Did you know, just like how you would want to know people who comes into your physical store, you can find out who's coming into your virtual store by using YouTube analytics. So now you're making the correlation why they should care.
Oh, okay. I get it.
So the titles it's like it's a very basic one, like what's on the tin. So like what's on the box. And like we're talking about your one stream, like I clicked on the video, what you were doing, because I knew you were live. And I was like, what Eric is doing. But the reality was, I didn't know what it was about until I clicked in. And I was like, oh, she's doing some kind of troubleshooting. Just name it that type of troubleshooting. One live troubleshooting for live events.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's because then most likely if someone's having the same issue or they're looking for one live, they're going to type in like one live, like errors, or one live, I can't figure out how to do this. So I do one live, like trying to go live on all platforms, error 2022, something like that. So they know it's relevant, and I'll just tweak it later on. But it just gets me used to just creating very literal things.
Okay. Understand.
So I'll give you an example. So I'm going to show you the 4 steps, even though, and if you want it, this is a YouTube Analytics Notion doc that you'll have access to in a second. And I'll send it to Erica so you can get the link.
I was just about to say, I need the link.
I'll do it. So like, I'll show you. Okay. So I'll show you a perfect example right here. Right. So this is what I'm looking for. This is exactly, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if anyone cares about this. Right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to screenshot this. I'm going to screenshot the top. You're going to see it in real time exactly what I do. Screenshot the top. I'm in paper form, but you can do this in really anything.
Book like a boss?
You could do this in Book Like a Boss. Maybe. Well, it depends. You're so much better at a Book Like a Boss than me. I'm going to make a copy here because that's the 50 high right here. I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to add a picture. I just made an image right here. I just screenshot it. So I just screenshot my Notion doc. Now I have this. So it looks just like my other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get access right here. Manage. right here, I'm going to say basic YouTube analytics. Okay. I'm going to change the unsplash image. I'm going to say YouTube. I like this. So now I remember it. I'm going to say basic YouTube analytics. Right? We have that available. That's fine. After submission, what's going to happen after submission? Redirect. They're going to redirect to this. So I'm going to take this. Let's copy this link. Put this in here. Okay. That's done. I can hook it up to my CRM later. Like I'm just not, it's fine. It's fine for the basics. I have their CSVs. I have their email address and I can do it. So now I have this right here. So look at this. Now they can get access. I'm going to just type it in to make sure that it works. Success. Getting redirected. I got to change it from 50 plus ideas. Now it goes right there. So now I have a working, working lead magnet that we just created in real time. And the only thing is I'm going to say success, direct, redirected. I'm just going to say now. So that way I can even make it faster next time when I duplicate this. Okay. So I have this. Wait, one more layer. I go into switching. I'm going to now track everyone that uses this. Put in this. Switch over. YouTube analytics. Tracking. Get a link. And there we go. So I do this on everything. So you see how I'm repurposing in real time over and over and over again to see what works. Erica's going to get the link in a second. All from I never let it waste. So now I can test. Hey, when people are looking at my content, do they care about me talking about YouTube analytics? How well did this go when I was on Erica's show? Who used the link, right? So I can just do all this stuff. It took me what, less than 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Just to do this. But the beauty of this is if you are like, that's too much, just share the link. Just share the link, right? But the thing is, now I can see I'm testing my idea. Do people actually want YouTube analytics information from me or no? And that's the power of seeing what works, what doesn't work. It just added another 4 minutes, and now I'm going to be able to increase my email list if I want to. And now we're good to go. So we go into here, YouTube analytics. I click analytics on the left-hand side. From there, I'm going to see my analytics. I'm going to see more on the right-hand side. From there, I'm going to see what's happening in real time. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 videos. What's the best performing ones? And what are more than 6 months old? So what did I see? Versus videos are still crushing it. This is a year old. And then it's there. This one's May. This is only 4 months old, so I can't use it. July of last year, this one's still crushing it. But they're almost the same thing. So this is good. I made that. 2, 3. So all of these. So beginners about AppGyver. I can make a 2022 version here. Top 5 no-code tools for 2022. It's general, but now I could create top 5 no-code tools to create a delivery app. Top 5 no-code tool to create a restaurant app. So I could be more niche and see if it performs, right? And this is all from showing what's performing in the last 48 hours, because this is the most important to see what has stuck. I have right here in 2020, create Netflix step by step. What I found is I've done tons of Netflix or creating a streaming platform. They're just not my audience, because it's just a mixture of ones that, I'm just going to be honest, they don't have what they need right now at the time. It's either kids that want to create Netflix platforms, they don't understand like the scope of it, or ones that like, how are you better than Hulu? And those are hard questions. Or how much content do you have? And only 2 people out of all the content I've ever had there are two people from very specific countries that are trying to create something local, and it's not in a specific language. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That could work. But like, it has to be really, yeah. So that is the basics. You don't need to look at anything else in your analytics to get started. You need to look at what's performing in the last 48 hours. That will give you a huge indication what people want right now to start creating more videos of right now.
Okay. You've given me a lot of great ideas. I want to shout out DJ Strick, who says that this is really good, and Anthony, who says let's rock. So
Love it.
I just
Love it.
wanted to let you know that we have people here with us.
Cool. Love it. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone watching. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
put the link in the chat already.
Nice. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, this one shows like, okay, if it works, if it's the right thing, and again, it's free, right? So I'm seeing, does that work at that level? And then I can reach out to them again. Hey, I've got something more advanced, a free course or consulting if I want to. But now you can really see in real time who's taking action, who's downloading your stuff, what's the reasons, all those things. But my highest converting ones has been Notion documents. The only reason I want more tracking, so that's why I don't do Notion documents. But if you look at it, they look exactly like Notion documents. Like it's a Notion document just with a form, and most people can't tell the difference.
I like that you used your YouTube analytics to decide on what to make courses out of from that specific content. Smart.
And they're going to tell you everything. Now, one last thing I'll show you, and then I'll wrap it up. If you're looking at audience, once you have enough in audience, you can look at videos growing your audience. You can see more. And then this tells you over 7 days or whatever I want, I can see which ones make people return back. And so right here, I can see my how to launch side hustle with no code. It makes sense because that's a big thing that I want people to do. Beyond the court, it might seem like there's not a correlation, but we see that because it's a different style of video than most people, we've seen a high conversion rate because they see it's a different quality style. Like if anyone's seen the trailer, we're going for movie quality because we want it to be edutainment. We want to lean in to be an authority in the space. So we want to do high quality videos once in a while or mini documentaries. So that is what we want. And our people that come back multiple times like that kind of change.
Yeah, that was a really nice trailer. And I want to shout out Sabrina Williams for doing a great job on that.
Oh, she's great. Just wait. I think you'll like the documentary coming up. So, I mean, that's the thing. And like another thing, we haven't really announced it. We're probably going to enter it in a few movie festivals coming up. So you're going to see our journey of, we've never done a movie festival. I've never done it. You're going to be seeing what content, what software do we use to edit behind the scenes to make sure we go to the movie festival. If we get submissions or anything like that, like that's going to be part of the journey. So this allows you to see what's performing, what's not performing, what's going on. And that's all in YouTube analytics. So it's going to give you, and there's tons of things you can find here. And yes, you can look at what's happening overview, but if you're just getting started, don't worry about that. Just look at what's happening in the last 48 and start making content around what people want right now, because you know there at least is traction here. And if there's something that you're like, I don't like any of these videos, ask yourself why those videos are getting traction and why you don't want to do those kind of videos anymore. Because don't force yourself to make videos that you honestly don't want to make, because then you're going to run out of gas at a certain point. You're going to run out of gas because you're not going to feel motivated. And this is a long-term thing. This is a long-term goal with YouTube. Very few people can pop off. Had a friend, I mean, he got one video that went viral. It got 22 million views, but
wow.
It took him, he was on YouTube for 10 years. And then that one popped off. The guy that created Dragon Ball Tales, he was on YouTube for 4 years, popped off. His video in 2 weeks got 7 million views because it was something that he loved to do. And one last thing, if anyone wants to see like, oh, my niche won't convert, look at the lock picking lawyer. If people don't know what this is, it's him. All he does is picks locks. He's got 4 million views, 4 million subscribers. And I watch all this stuff. I'm not even a locksmith yet, but I just like seeing what he's doing. So what does he do? Like, you see what's going on. He's over like 1,400 videos. Look at this. 1,400 videos. Look at his oldest ones. He's doing the same thing. He's been doing the same thing for 1,400 videos. It's the same format. All it takes is one. And then a few popped off, and then he is where he is. 3 years ago, 32 million, 24 million, 15. Do what you love. Do what you love, and YouTube is going to reward you. It might take time. It's a long-term goal or a long-term vision. Focus in what kind of content you want to create, what kind of business or kind of goal you want to get at the end of the road with YouTube analytics. YouTube will reward you if you're willing to put in the time, because they love money and they want you to get a part of that money if you do a good job. And that's the secret of YouTube.
I like that. Like, there's so much stuff that I feel like I need to do right now.
All you need to do, first of all, for you need to rename that one stream video, because that was really good. So I would change it saying like one stream live, live streaming testing, and you would tell what kind of error that you're fixing. Is it a new feature for them? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You were telling.
So it's the studio. They just rolled it out for everyone. So yeah.
So yeah. So you let them know, hey, this is what I'm having trouble with, and then you send that video to OneStream Live too, because you're doing their beta testing for them. You should be paid by that later on, but this is a good start, right? And you just start from there. And now you need to just start making videos, because you're already talking about it. You need to start talking about, oh, that other one you talked about, LinkedIn and getting their info. You need to do that next, because I need that. I have a client that I'm like, I need that. Just create content that people want. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Or things that you love. That's it.
Okay. Well, I like this conversation so much, and I am sure that it has recorded. So I am going to re-upload it and put it in a schedule and play it again, maybe about 1 o'clock and maybe again at 7 o'clock, because people need to hear this.
Well, hopefully this has been helpful, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate that doc you gave us. So thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Let people know where they can reach out to you.
Yeah. So the best platform is YouTube or Twitter. So YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/Doc Williams, DOC Williams. I got the URL. I can't believe it. And if you want to hit me up, the only other social that I'm there is Twitter, mainly _Doc Williams, DOC Williams. And you'll find me there. Those are the two most active platforms I'm on.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Doc. I appreciate you coming back and hanging out with us again.
Of